Listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining our November Florida Broker Roundtable with Robert Milligan. Before we begin, I want to say how happy we are to now offer a ton of great free marketing tools to all of our agents. These are now available in the AJI University. Our goal is always to give back to our agents by offering the newest tools and technology to you. None of this would be possible without you and your amazing amount of agent referrals to AJI. As Allison James continues to grow with agents referring other agents to our brokerage, we will be able to provide more of these tools to you. Remember, you can earn a monthly or yearly residual payment simply by having an agent join us. All you need to do is contact Jeff Jabora or Alicia Aratari in our National Growth and Development Department and provide them with the contact information of the agent who you would like to refer over. I would now like to introduce Robert Milligan. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Sheena. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody who's tuned in here today. Just a couple things that I wanted to go over quickly, a couple thoughts for you, and I wanted to also first mention for those of you who happen to make it out to the NAR convention, it's actually still just winding up here today. I popped in yesterday for a little bit and checked out all the booths and all the vendors and everything, and really nice time. We had a good group from Mark Carpenter's office in San Diego, California, as well as Ed, and a lot of Allison James agents that I hadn't had a chance to meet yet here in Florida. So we had a nice dinner event for that yesterday evening, and it was really great to see everybody and just get some clues and tips and things from the convention of just some things to be aware of. And some trends that I have seen and I've personally gotten into a little bit. My office has been using Zillow successfully. That's been a good situation for us, and for a long time I wasn't a big fan of Zillow like many realtors, and eventually I came around to realizing that that is the conduit that customers are going to for real estate information. So it's kind of difficult to ignore at this point, and created some good relationships at Zillow. My partner on the local team that we run here in Sarasota actually went and met with some Zillow executives in Seattle a couple weeks ago, and just getting some good insight. I mean, I think it's kind of difficult for us to be in the real estate business and not acknowledge the fact that that's where customers are going for real estate info. So got some good tips from them. There's another company that we've been using that's kind of intriguing called offers.com. It's OFFRS. And you might want to check into that a little bit. It's been a really valuable lead generation tool for sellers that we've been using. I've been on the offers program for about 3 months now. And it's predictive analytics that they can, through public records, predict who is most likely to sell their house. So if you're farming a 2,000 unit farm, you can, isolate the search down to maybe just 2 or 3 or 400 houses that are most likely to sell. And instead of, calling or snail mailing or doing any marketing activities to the entire group, you can just focus on those 400 houses. So we've been doing that as well for a few months, and that has also been something that's been working well for us. If you want to check that website and see if there are areas in your market that you would be interested in, they've got some good specials going on right now, and they do not pay me whatsoever for mentioning it, by the way. It's just an unbiased recommendation for something that's been working well for us. So, good time at the convention. The forecast that I've been talking to a lot of people about, just nationwide, especially in the Florida market probably, is that they're just expecting, unsurprisingly, the next couple years to just the supply is going to increase a little bit, inventory is going to go up a little bit, prices are going to level off a bit. So that's the forecast that we're hearing. There may even be a little bit of a dip over the next 12 to 24 months is what I'm hearing. From a lot of different economists, nothing that's, certainly not a crash or anything of the sort, but just a little pause, I guess, would be the best way to put it, as the inventory levels keep rising. So that's something that's interesting. We'll see what, if it turns out to be true or not. Obviously, there's a giant election tomorrow, or Donald Trump would say a huge election tomorrow. So we'll see who ends up being the president. That'll end up being a factor, and I think either way, once the election's over with, people will move on and accept whatever the outcome is, and then real estate business will be back to normal. So one thing, a little thought that I wanted to leave with you, something that I've been thinking about over the last couple weeks, is that as a realtor, the income is very disproportionate between the realtors that are making good money and the realtors, which unfortunately there are many of them, that are not making very much money at all. And that's the kind of economic question that I like to think about. And I think that the key element to realizing what is the difference between a realtor that makes a lot of money versus versus a realtor who doesn't make very much money at all is that, we only get paid as realtors, as entrepreneurs, as employees, as anybody. We only get paid for the value that we're bringing to the marketplace. So that's a really big question to ask. What is the value that I'm bringing to the marketplace? And that's why some realtors make, $30,000 or $40,000 a year. Some realtors make no money at all whatsoever to speak of. Some realtors make over $1 million a year. And over the long term, there's a Warren Buffett quote that I've always liked. He always said that in the short term, the stock market, is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. So, you can be popular, you can, do something in a very short time frame that causes you to have an anomaly of a payment. You luck into listing a multi-million-dollar house that, sells in the first week and you get a $100,000 check. Maybe you're that good, maybe you're not. If you're not that good, that's obviously not going to keep happening over and over and over again. So what he means by that is that in the long term, year after year after year, you're only going to be getting paid what you're worth. So I thought an interesting illustration of this would be, a question that I think would be interesting is, would you pay a single person $26 million a year to run your business? I mean, that sounds pretty out of control, $26 million for a single year to pay an executive to run your business. But that's what Disney paid Robert Iger last year to be the CEO. So there's another example is Jeffrey Boyd, he's the CEO of Priceline.com, who was paid approximately $50 million last year to run Priceline.com. And that sounds just totally out of the scope of what's realistic or what's possible, but Mr. Boyd facilitated over $8.5 billion worth of revenue last year, and since he became the CEO over 10 years ago, closer to 15 years ago, sales have grown from less than $1 billion a year, about 997 million, to over 4.3 billion. So, he's creating a lot of mathematical return for the investors in his organization, and that is why he's worth $50 million a year, because the investors in Priceline have enjoyed about a 50% annualized return on their investment. So if you create a lot of value in the marketplace, getting paid, if you're worth $50 million a year, you're going to get paid $50 million a year. So, with making that point, I think if we look more specifically at what it takes to be a realtor, there's a great example of a young man in our office recently who he listed and sold a $3.6 million home. And he's done it. This is not his first sale. He's consistently doing a really, really good job, and he, within about a 1.5-year time frame, put himself within the top 1% of all of the Sarasota realtors in our market. So there were 2 realtors in this house, and it wasn't an easy sale, and he really hustled. He really did a creative job marketing the property. And there were 2 very well-known, very successful realtors who had attempted to sell this house for about 2 years prior, and neither of them were successful. And they did some marketing. I wouldn't quite say that it was extremely innovative, because they're been leaders in the industry for decades now, and they kind of take the exact same approach with every property. But they're very successful, and they're making a lot of money. Well, this young man in our office, he listed the property for about $3.6 million and did some just absolutely incredible marketing. Did some really quality high-def video he had little children running around through the house to try to make the marketing more interesting. And not only that, just a lot of guerrilla marketing approaches, really reaching out to a lot of people, dialing people with high net worths, trying to see if there's anybody relocating to this area. Long story short, he was able to put the property under contract within less than 30 days. And the property is already closed. It closed relatively quickly, and he did a really, really nice job. And so, again, as a customer, would we ask ourselves, is it worth paying a realtor over $100,000 to sell my house? And so, because we're on the inverse side of that equation, I know most of you working would probably enjoy getting paid $100,000 to sell a house, but from a customer's perspective, if we put ourselves in their shoes, is it worth paying a realtor $100,000 to sell a house? So in this example, I do believe so, and I mean, that's a question that every customer has to ask themselves. But here's a seller who had unsuccessfully tried to sell a house for over 2 years, and if a realtor come along, like what happened here, and said, I can sell the house in 30 days and get you what you want so that you can move on in your life on a $3.6 million house, most people would say that that's a fair equation, that if there's a man that can, or woman that can step up and make this happen and get this customer what they want out of their lives after they've been frustrated for 2 years, that's a fair exchange. So that, to me, is what being a realtor is all about. If we're not bringing value to the marketplace, if we're not doing something a little bit different, a little bit more ambitious, a little bit more aggressive, a little more progressive, then we're not going to get paid a lot of money. But if we're marketing our properties in a way that's quality, that our marketing photos are noticeably different, that people just understand that we're going to bring more energy, more hustle to work for them and get them the results that they're wanting, customers are willing to pay for that, and customers will never not be willing to pay for that. So, I think that real estate long-term is the sort of business that it's always going to need a personal touch. It's always going to need a little bit of salesmanship. I know there's always been industry speculation, especially after getting back from the NAR convention and seeing all the booths, whether or not houses will entirely be sold off of the internet or computers will sell houses. And I can't personally see that. And I could be wrong, but at this point it just seems to me like it takes a little bit of extra focus, because the internet is just a deluge of information, and the market is not as efficient with houses as it is in something like a stock market or a commodity market, where people can go and the price is the price and everybody's getting the same thing. Houses are obviously a lot different. So a good realtor needs to learn how to direct the focus of the market. So what I mean by that is that if you're a realtor and you're on a marketing campaign for a specific property, that's where we add value to the market. That's how we get paid, is by taking all the attention of all the eyeballs that are on the internet, all the eyeballs on Zillow, on Trulia, on Realtor.com, and learning how to creatively take some of that focus and some of that attention and put that attention and get the eyeballs on your specific property, and then be persuasive to show people, here's the life that you can live in this property. Here's the way that you can enjoy this property with your family or your children or your loved ones. Here's the lifestyle. You can, you're close to shopping, you're close to a golf course, you're close to the water, you can boat from this property. Whatever the special features of that property are, it's our job, I believe, to be able to direct that focus and show people a vision of what it's going to be like for them to live in that house. Because people, they get kind of analytical when they're buying a house, but they're not buying comps. They're buying a lifestyle. And at the end of the day, especially in the baby boomer segment of the population, which is becoming a very strong buying force in our market now, they really, for most of them, they're considering this as one of their last houses that they want to be perfect. They want what they want. They're not nickel and diming over the comps, and the comps are a factor. They're important. We can't totally neglect them. But for the most part, these kind of buyers, they just want what they want, and so they need you to show them what lifestyle that they can live in this property. So those are just some of the casual observations that I've made in our market, in our office, some of the observations I made from the NAR convention. And I think if we really think about that and focus on that, the market is very competitive as far as realtors go. And if we want to make more money than average, which not all of us do, and that's okay also, we're all, just able to get whatever it is that we want out of this deal. But if you're the sort of realtor that wants to make more money than average, then you've got to be doing a little bit better than average. So it's a good idea to always seek out new marketing methods, new ways that you can stand out ahead of your competition, and you'll definitely, over the long run, win more business that way. So if you have any comments, feedback, you're always welcome anytime to call me direct, 941-999-1179. You can email, you can reach out to Sheena. So, but that's my thought for now, and if anybody has any questions, you can type them into the chat box here, or we can talk to you later on.
Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us today. We would like to give a huge thank you once again to our Florida broker, Robert Milligan, and to everyone who has joined us today. We'll see you all next month. Bye, guys.
Bye.